Hello, everybody. Welcome back. And we've got a big matchup on the table here for us as we're dealing with the winners finals. I don't know if I could set up, I don't know if I have enough words in my linguistical dictionary here to go through what this matchup will mean. But it's Texas A&M, the Aggies, going up against Humber College, the champions, defending champions from season one, going up against the squad that well visions. It's not easy to say, but we have to. This squad of Texas A&M and Maroon has been at the top of the leaderboards every single week. Everyone's expecting them, at least a lot of people are expecting them to win the whole thing. But Humber has looked good so far today, getting the reverse sweep versus Penn State White, and like we just saw, a 3-0 versus Georgia Southern.
I think that series that Humber pulled out in the 3-2 actually completely saved them. If you lose that match and go down to the losers, I actually think this team just kind of does what FSU did on the losers bracket. But the fact that they were able to mount that, I can only imagine what that did for the whole atmosphere and the vibes of the team. And now making that run, of course, all the way to this point in time, you're in the winners final. You're playing up against a team, like you said already. It's just been rated so high. I mean, these are players that were playing last year at champs. There's actually so many players combined on both teams that are playing in Path to Pro and have the potential to be able to break through and actually try and get themselves eventually on a CDL team after a lot of time and experience you kind of invested in towards it. But this is going to make for one hell of a banger matchup. We've seen the season one champions up against a team that has been so highly rated. They took down Concord Maroon in 3-2 fashion, almost getting reverse sweep themselves, but they were able to hold on. They have that ice. They have players that can go big. And overall, coming off of that one, they also have some great momentum and consistency built underneath themselves. So now you have this big clash where they come together, Shift, and we just have no idea what's going to unravel and what's going to happen.
And that's why we love College Con playoff visions. That's just why we love it. Let's take a look at those rosters, though, very quickly and speak a little bit more about some of these individual players. On the left, Texas A&M Maroon, the number 2 seed. D'Lo and Landon, those two players that played for Vanity Alliance at World Championships last year. Although, to be fair, they did not have the performance I think they were hoping for after kind of coming together and putting together a good Anaheim and Miami run. But for Justified, Decay, and Loathing, there's nothing to take away from any of those three names as well. I don't know if they're trying to participate in the Path to Pro, but if they were, they would be on teams that I think would be right in the middle of contesting alongside what Landon and D'Lo have been able to do. But like you said as well, for the Toronto kids out of Humber, you've also got Cush Point to deal with, who he has been an incredible player individually, but him and Figure are those two main players that stand out in my mind as far as potential to reach the next level of their competitive COD future.
Yeah, a lot of these players also just placed extremely well within the last Toronto Ultra event for the Northern Rivals too. Like Cush Point finished second place with his squad. Right behind him, was Figure, who I believe placed between third and fourth. But I think all of them were actually on different teams coming in. Cush Point and Figure might have been together, but no, Tunes definitely was not with this lineup and with this squad. But talking about Tunes has been playing so well today, first of all.
He really has.
He has been on one. And I mean, for the captain of your squad that also can play that vocal leader, I've gotten to talk to Tunes on land. I've gotten to see him play on land. He won Toronto XP1 way back when last year in Black Ops 4. So this kid is extremely talented. He has the capabilities to be able to also lead a squad at shot call when he needs to do so. But overall, you're going to need Tunes to play like he's been playing the entire day if you're going to look at taking down some of these players. Luckily, they have some great stacked players right behind them. We mentioned Figure, we mentioned Cush Point, but Stevie, he's also been having some great consistency with the assault rifle today. He's been holding his own. Crozier, the sub, also coming into this lineup. But we'll take a look at some of the stats for the side of Humber Esports in exactly. Actually, I think we'll go on board with Texas first, and we'll see 10-0 in Hardpoint, 9-0 in Search and Destroy, 10-0 in Domination. They had a flawless, perfect run at 19-0, and then coming in towards playoffs, things have gotten a little bit more feisty for them, but they've still been keeping a strong track record and really only struggling against Concord Maroon.
Yeah, that's the thing. They've only struggled versus Concord Maroon. Period. Like, you can't say anything else. Like, they've lost one other map, and it was kind of in fluke fashion in the regular season. So, yeah, that's it. I mean, Concord Maroon is the only team to really give them a major run for their money. Yes, Purdue did take a hard point off of Texas A&M Maroon earlier today as well. So maybe Texas A&M a little bit slow to get started here today, but similarly so has been the case for the side of Humber College as we take a look at what they have to offer as far as their statistics here. They're another team that had been flawless before today in hardpoint and domination. The hardpoint record has changed as they did drop one of those hard points to Penn State White. Their Search and Destroy has been their weakest game mode, but even still in that quote unquote weakest game mode, they still hold a pretty positive differential, at least in round count. Although when it comes down to their search and destroy versus playoff teams specifically, they're actually 6-5 and only 2-3 in these playoffs. Even though, again, this was a statistic at the beginning of the night, but since we've gone through today, obviously some things have changed. So, that's my biggest thing for this Humber team. We kind of saw the same kind of inconsistencies with teams like Purdue, where if you don't win search, your chances of beating good teams goes drastically down. And now we take that conversation to Humber and their potential to not just get past Texas A&M here for their first potential go at them, but what they might have to face up against in the grand finals. If you want to win a championship, your search and destroy has to get cleaner.
Has to get cleaner, and we'll see exactly if some of these players can step it up, because it's not like they have a weak search and destroy squad. Like Cush Point used to play with Illy like a lot of the times when before he had actually made it, of course, in towards the CDL and on the Dallas Empire squad. Like, this man was been grinding search and destroy and is considered one of the best search and destroy players in that S&D community. And Cush Point was somebody that he was playing with. Cush Point was also somebody who was playing with some of the pros in tens off the beginning of the year when this game dropped. So this guy, he's got what it takes. And you need to see some of that search and destroy, that superstar that he's able to kind of bring out and towards some of the other matches throughout his history and throughout his years within this game. But you need that now, but you need the backup from the entire team. It's not just a one-man show on a game mode like search and destroy. You need coordination, you need everybody on the same page. And that just seems to be the problem for me so far watching Humber on the days. It doesn't look like everyone's on the same page at the right time. And I mean, that's obviously a crucial part to any game mode and to any successful team. But they have looked great inside of the hard points, despite that very first one that they dropped inside of Penn State White, where, of course, those rookies are just on another level when it comes to respawn sometimes. But you're going to have to really bring your A-game shift. There's just no excuse. You're at this level. You're here for a reason. Both teams want it, obviously, extremely bad. Now we'll just see who wants it a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Who wants it a little bit more? Who's in playoff form? All of those questions need to be answered. And we've seen those questions pop up for both of these squads. We are still waiting for our lobby to populate. While this is going on, there is still more action going on our Bravo channel at twitch.tv/collegecodbravo. Currently, Concord Maroon is up 2-1 in the search as they took a 250 to, what was it? 201. Hard point on Hackney versus Penn State White. So that's currently going on right there. That's the only game currently going on. And I believe we're still trying to work out the logistics of when Georgia Southern and Carleton can get on and play their losers quarterfinal matchup. As far as I know, we will be playing that still tonight. It just comes down to, will it be here on the mainstream after this matchup has concluded, or will it be on the Bravo stream, depending on how long this match takes after the conclusion of Penn State White and Concord Maroon. But while waiting for our lobby, one of the other things that I could mention, kind of give you guys some support and promotion here at the College COD League, is the fact that, hey, this is, of course, our regular season coming to a conclusion, but I'm hoping and I'm praying and I'm hoping our tournament organizer side admins are listening, that we can run another kind of a summer showcase of some sort where we can get some more teams together, maybe make it an open invitational type tournament and do some more things with Modern Warfare before we come to the conclusion of Modern Warfare and into whatever will be the title in the fall. But we also usually run a couple of tournaments to showcase talent in the fall as well. That is not just restricted to teams that participated in this season too. So if you're out there, you want to participate, you want to play, you're going to school next semester, you want to get a team together, it's never too soon to start thinking about it. And if you need some help, need some guidance, make sure you talk to our management team over on our Discord at !Discord. It's free and open to anybody to join. Feel free to jump on it, meet some of the players, play in some of the tens lobbies, talk with us about how you want to start up your own team, and we'll do our best to try to get you the right channels to do that. Beyond that, though, we will be back in just a moment to get ready to go with map number 1, so don't go too far. Texas A&M Maroon, Humber College, winners finals coming up right after this. Welcome back, everybody. A little bit of a host issue for our lobby, but we've got everything settled out, and the match is right about to start. It's going to be Hackney Yard up first, though. That's the one thing we kind of missed on when we were talking about this, Visions, was Hackney Yard as a whole being our first map. Texas A&M Maroon have not played this map that much, just 3 times, but every time they have played it, they've blown out their opponents. But similarly so, Humber has done the exact same. So what are you kind of looking for both of these squads as we jump into this first map?
I think it's going to be something that I touched on very early with Gunrunner, where there's just everybody almost knows. I feel like Gunrunner and Hackney Yard as maps the best. And they probably know them the most just due to playing on them most actively whenever playing tens and things like this. But you have to watch for the money hills. Like those are the rotations that win you a map like Hackney Yard, P2 and P5. Those are the simple logistics and basic breakdowns of a map like this. And if you're winning the rotations on the money hills, well, you're most likely the team that's going to be controlling the lead. But as much as we know that's easier said than done. I mean, breaking P2, obviously very, very difficult. Breaking P5 in a lot of instances, very, very difficult. I think there was a stat that went out, something along the lines that, P2 and Hackney Yard, like the hill that is usually going to consume the most amount of points out of any other hill within the actual maps. And I mean, of course, it makes sense. There's an entire wall barrier set up there for you just to get on some head glitches and lock people down. But that's what you have to watch for, and that's what you're going to have to look for on this map.
Well, we'll see exactly who spawns where as we're just about ready to jump into this first map. Winners finals, ladies and gentlemen. The number 2 team in the rankings, at least by standings, actually, going up against the number 3 team, the defending champions of Humber Esports, against the heavy favorites, the CCL of Texas A&M Maroon, and it will be Humber spawning on the favored side here off the rip for Hackney Yard.
Crozier lights it up, and well, he's been warming up with some bots or something because he's going to find the first couple kills and get them on the board. Of course, the favorite side will be given over towards Humber Esports, and we'll watch for them to hold on to this side, leading in towards the next hill that spawns after this. But so far, so good. That's a lot of yellow that's going to pour right in towards the bottom left for us. One player could look to slip through. He wins his gunfight. Justified has a chance to hit this. He will be getting shot in the back, but no, he wins his gunfight. He will be encountering a couple players that just spawn out, so we can't push all the way through, but there's a few more reinforcements that are there trying to do that exact same thing.
Goodness gracious, this has been a great start for Humber. Although, yes, the 50-50s eventually trade out in favor of Texas A&M Maroon. It is a good start here for Humber, finding 19 seconds worth of time and still never giving an inch of space outside this warehouse as the Aggies are completely entrapped. But I say that D'Lo finds a couple of kills. Decay makes his way forward. This is the first good attempt for A&M to try to get out of this warehouse and towards the second hard point. Landon able to find one, but does get converted on by the Humber Esports SMG line. And with that, the last couple of seconds will actually be contested by Figure. A bold call, because look what that's done. Loathing has made his way past that very coveted brick wall. Up top, Crozier gets smoked by Landon. And the Aggies, they're not just at the front door, they're in your living room, and they're breaking things open already in the tire shop.
Coach Point does find the trades, but he will not be able to find 2. They have found the break just 20 seconds in, but Humber still have that close spawn, so they will be in control of the lead as well as in control of the hill as long as they're able to keep somebody in it. But this has been great work so far from AMU because they've just been able to flood all the resources they've been sneaking through. They almost sneak through again as they're somehow almost able to combine for 4 kills. Building able to break on, and Landon's there to follow it up. So this is a very scrappy P2 hill. That's not a good sign for Humber. The scrap time is picked up for AMU Maroon, so they are going to be in a great spot heading in towards this P3 hill, but it's going to be Humber that's on the rotation first, and they're looking to cut down the members moving in from that P2 hill.
We're at a point in Modern Warfare where even if you touch the second hard point from the team trying to break, we consider that a success. So the fact that A&M not only do that, but take the scrap time away is massive for the Aggies, as now they try to work their way through the warehouse to approach the third hard point of the smokestack. D'Lo will find 2 kills mid-map. That'll be enough to take the one player of Humber on the hard point immediately off of it, and now we've got about 10 seconds worth of time just going to the game clock. Beyond that now, actually, is both teams are just trying to find the kills to allow an opportunity to convincingly get into the smokestack. And Texas A&M, they will find a way to break out of the warehouse, get the yellow building spawned, and find themselves on this third hard point where there are 30 seconds left to fight for.
You got to say, A&M, they've been playing so fantastically well with these breaks, coordinating them. The scrap time is up for grabs, so Humber will try and push forward for that. Cush Point's going to win a big one-on-one. 10 seconds will likely be picked up, but not maybe before we see one last hit come through before the right, making sure Cush Point's not going to be able to find a flank. So in towards the office building we go in green. We're seeing exactly if Humber Esports can get themselves into a setup. We've seen them rotate first multiple times, but Tunes is going to find 3 actually on this rotation. Stevie finds one up top, and well, he's got a couple more lined up for himself, and that's going to be 6 kills straight. Justify with the nade will stop the yellow from coming in, but this will be Tunes playing his life. He throws the smoke. This is so smart shit. He's going to get stumped up, but as long as he can buy time here, he's going to keep the side of Texas A&M all the way back, trying to search for Tunes, and he might have an opportunity to find this kill and play for spawns.
Oh, massive pick, and that might just be enough for them to flip things out. A&M is spawning in the warehouse, while Humber, they do get the P5 spawns. Yes, they lose some presence in the hill, but the better part of the opening 30 seconds of this office building did go the way of Humber, and now that they've flipped back the spawns, this could be a very decisive hill, not just in the immediate, but also in the possible future, depending on how the next couple of hills go. If Humber can find a way to take a full 60 from here, or take a majority and win the next rotation to the right side of the minimap halfway through, they will be in a position where not only are they in the lead, but they could potentially snowball this against Texas A&M Maroon. But I say that, D'Lo's got other things in mind. He's found himself too. He's 23 and 11. No one's even in the ballpark. No one's even paid for tickets to get into the ballpark where D'Lo currently is.
Yeah, D'Lo's doing D'Lo things, and he's looking for more as he does find it. There it is, kill number 3, 24 now on the board as he's trying to keep everybody out of the hill. He will be successful once again as he pieces together 4 straight. D'Lo is closing on 30 kills, and we are not even in the reset. Oh man, if he found that, I would have lost my hat. But he is going to keep himself rolling. This will be the scrap time picked up. And well, they'll see exactly if they can find a swift transition. Last time around, Humber Esports, they had the favorite side for P2, but they were unable to actually hold it. And this is something that I'm starting to figure out very quickly, is that on Hackney Yard, we're seeing A&M Maroon here. They're able to get themselves so many breaks. They're finding great coordinated hits. Shift. This has to change. Humber Esports, they're going to have to try and find better trades and better use of using their lights, because right now they're starting to get outslayed, and this lead is getting a little bit away from them.
Just under a 50-point game. Humber, you would love to find some significant time here on P1 while still holding up the tire shop side of the map. And it looks like so far they're doing just that. You get to 115 points, you find a full 60 on P2, forget about the entirety of that first rotation, reset yourself, you're in a good position. But A&M, we know how good they are when it comes to breaking open these setups that Humber have at least offered thus far. I say that, push point finds a mini pinch to the top side of L. That'll be good for a kill. Crozier up top more, and oh my goodness, yellow usually means yield when you look at it on the street, but now it's just all green for go for Humber. A full yellow kill feed. Loathing will eventually break up the monotony, but oh, I don't know, this is not just good time, this is great time for Humber as they take nearly a full 60 off the first, and they're still set up for the tire shop.
Oh man, full 60 off P1. That's what Humber needed, and they're going to bring themselves to life as we got just about a tie game, and we might just see the lead change happen once again for us. But the last tire shop hill, they were able to find so many slip-throughs. There was no line of defense that came through for Humber, and this is it. Landon almost finds an opening right to the top of the stairs. They're going to be able to deal with all those players, and that will be 5 down. So they have a chance to reset, start to push things out like Toons is doing exactly as he moves into the warehouse here. Finds 1, finds 2, but we'll be taken down from D'Lo no less, as he will maybe look to hit this scrap time, but this is a chance where you have to start chalking it. Figures already moving through Shift. This is such great play that's happening deep in towards our hard point in map number 1. Humber is starting to get their feet underneath themselves. They're starting to make the correct plays, and this is what's going to make the difference, as you can already see back-to-back full 60s going in favor of Humber. They're running away with the lead themselves as we move in towards P3.
This play from Figure, I can't say enough about it. It could be absolutely massive to find an early contest here of the smokestack. Plus, as soon as this hill expires, will he pull the spawns back to him? He wins the first gunfight, but doesn't hold his life. So A&M, they'll spawn right in front of yellow, and they will come right back into the smokestack. Nearly a perfect 2 hills plus an additional rotation for Humber, but now it's A&M. They're on the run back as they're trying to find some good time here at P3, but they're actually getting a split spawn. Some by yellow, some by the backside of office. They're a little bit all over the place, and Humber has put them in a blender as they're absolutely piecing them apart. And with that, 30 seconds have expired, and A&M have found 0 time on this third hard point.
You might be panicking at the moment. You're not holding on towards these hills. You're not finding breaks like you were earlier on. Justify up top. He's going to take some shots, but Figure has combined with a couple of kills for himself. Crozier right behind him, having a slow start, 9 and 22. Almost battling out against the Gay, who's 10 and 24 on the opposite side. A little mini game going between both these players at the moment. But Justify, he finds a big one-on-one onto Figure. This is now going to give them a little bit of breathing room before Humber hits this next hill. But this has just been flawless so far from Humber in the last 3 hills. They've been grabbing the majority of the time, and now we'll see if they can find themselves a successful break.
Remember, it was 30 kills for D'Lo at the end of the first rotation. He's only on 33 since we've gone through 3 hills, just to kind of speak onto how his hot streak has definitely cooled. But for A&M, they're spawning out by Useless over towards the tire shop. 50-50 battle for the hill. Toon's trying to hold his life. He's got some help from above as Pushpoint is there watching over him. Figure as well, not too far away. And with a couple of kills being thrown about from the top side of AC to watch the rotation, A&M again is on the outside looking in. We're at 239, 240, and Texas A&M are nowhere to be found. Not only do they have to still break this hill, they have to win the rotation to next, and Figure isn't going to let them. Tries to think that maybe someone will slide into me, but A&M will eventually break. But you have to give up these last 7 seconds. You have to go for the rotation. You're going to beat 5. You have to do it right now.
They have to do it right now. 4 seconds is all Humber needs to close out the very first map, and that's a lot of yellow that I'm seeing. Figure is going to find one. Will he even need to find two? He will not. No one can touch. No one is there. Humber, they'll close out first map.
Austin, I could not speak enough to what we just saw from Humber. The fact that they had a very lackluster first rotation, they turned most of P5 into that first hard point for nearly a full 60. And then beyond that, to just keep the rotation on lock for the second hard point and to try to make the play on the backside for the third. Humber Esports definitely found their coordinates, found their bearings, and got right on path right through the first part of that rotation into the second. Things looked much cleaner for him, and because of that, Humber find themselves up 1-0 versus what has been, again, in a lot of people's minds, the Goliath that is Texas A&M. And again, even when I mentioned D'Lo was, remember that time I said D'Lo was at 30 kills in the first rotation? From the market, which I said that he was at 33, and he ended the game with 33. So things definitely cooled for D'Lo. And I don't want to sit there and say, do you wonder if Texas A&M Maroon just don't have enough firepower with all 5 players compared to that of Humber? But you definitely saw that is where the difference was kind of made up and where the ground was gained for Humber. You slow down D'Lo, we've got a fighting chance in this series.
Yeah, it certainly raises questions within the entirety of the roster, but it almost just felt like Humber flicked a switch in the resets. Like getting a full 60 off of the very first hill itself on Hackney Yard is just bizarre. The map is so close quarters. There's only, so many ways you can really hit in and try and hold on towards that hill, as it's so tiny. It doesn't give you a whole lot of room to work with, but they were able to just completely fry anybody that dare touch that warehouse. And of course, all that momentum led off the very first 60 just led perfectly in towards the next 60, where you saw them just able to get themselves into a fantastic spot. And that's when the moment changed. That's when everything started to shift in towards Humber's favor. That's a big first map, a big statement that comes up against Texas A&M. But we're going in towards Search and Destroy. This is only game number 1 shift. I don't want to get ahead of myself and say, all right, Humber's looking good right now. We still got a lot of maps to play, and I don't imagine this one's going to end in 3.
Yeah, I don't anticipate this one ending in 3. There's no chance. I'm just going to go ahead and say I guarantee this one goes at least 4. A little bit of an update as far as what's going on the Bravo channel. Concord and Penn State White locked up in a pretty good one as Concord was up 2-0, 250-201 the hard point, 6-2 the search. It's Penn State White that battle back on the domination for a 4-point win on Gunrunner, 154-150. So a good one going on there at twitch.tv/collegecod Bravo. And again, still waiting in the wings is the GSU game that'll be coming up versus Carleton. That's going to be another, not only just a good matchup, but a revenge match for Carleton, as they were sent to the losers bracket by Georgia Southern, and now they have the potential to knock out the Eagles completely from the playoffs if they find a way to beat up against these adversaries that they've got set up in their losers quarterfinals. But this match is starting up. It's Gunrunner for the Search and Destroy. Again, I don't know how we could say anything negative about either of these teams really at the end of the day, but you look at the back and forth between these two squads, Texas A&M have been by far stronger on this map mode combo than Humber, but I say by far, and it's, again, it just comes as of recently. Humber have found 6-2s in their last 2 matchups on this map, even though their search has been a little bit weaker here in the playoffs than it was in the regular season.
Yeah, I got to say, though, this A&M squad here, and, seeing them a little bit earlier on within Search and Destroy, their adaptation throughout this game mode really seems to be on point, but we are right into the action. That is a lot of yellow members that just hit the middle of the map. It's only going to net them just the very first kill, as we'll be traded right back over from Landon. Nades thrown out from D'Lo. Will not connect with it. So man advantage as Figure will find himself landed and take one of the other key players off of the map, at least for round number 1. Humber going to have a lot of time on the clock, but Stevie's going to go for the challenge and actually just blows Justify away. And now it's all up to D'Lo and Loathing to try and find themselves a big 2v4.
Gotta play this slowly. Peeks the door just to see if the sound cue will provide any extra information. There is a member nearby. That's Tunes, who's inside boiler at the moment, not too far away as Cush Point. Loathing, D'Lo, both have dead silence ready to go. And D'Lo's going to check and find Tunes by himself. He's going to take the angle. Now immediately maybe hit this, hoping that there's going to be a second challenge. Cush Point won't give him the opportunity. So we go to Loathing's point of view. He'll watch one cross to the inner side. Crates takes the jump peek onto Stevie. Big 1v1 win, 2v2 in total. Bomb making its way now on top of the B site. But there are members nearby for Humber, one of them being Figure. He'll be traded 1v1. D'Lo v Cush Point, your two stars from the team in the path to pro scene. Not a lot of time to play with. D'Lo realizes he doesn't have enough time to play it, but Cush Point takes the second chow and will win it. Humber ESPORTS take first blood in the map.
Wow, what a big attempt from D'Lo and Loathing to almost pull off a 2v4. The shots from Cush Point, he backs himself right into a corner, and I was almost really worried there because I was like, oh man, he is just going to be pinched, but he has to go for the challenge. Again, this is a game where Peeker's advantage definitely plays in your favor in a lot of those situations, and well, that is one of them. Cush Point lands the good shots. He closes things out despite having the shaky shots off the start of that initial gunfight. But Humber, they're going to strike first on the defense. They're going to hold strong despite things getting close. Now we'll see them move over towards the B-bomb site. This is what they tend to do on this map quite a bit. This is what just about every single team does, except for playing through the middle a little bit. It's what we see some of these faster teams do, but that's a lot of red that's now dropped in. Humber have lost two of their members, and this is going to make things play a little bit slower as they look to try and find some of these players that might just overpeak.
How do you work this, though, if you're Humber without these numbers in play? You see Texas A&M Maroon have not moved an inch. They feel good about their positions. Now the flank is actually starting to come on through. Tunes will be traded. That's all you have to do right now if you're A&M. Play for trades. D'Lo catches one unaware from the flank, and now Stevie, no chance whatsoever. A&M bounce back with a very solid defensive hold of their own, and with that, we stay tied up 1-1.
Clean shots come through for Landon. And I think overall, you have to have an interest. The approach going in towards the B side has to be playing slow, pre-aiming, waiting for picks, and then hitting based off the information that you're getting or the kills that are dropping down, or it's to look for that fast push, try and get in towards those power positions, clean things out, look for the trades. Humber played that one, I think, just a little bit too slow, just allow too many individual gunfights to come through in favor of Texas A&M Maroon. But into round 3 we will go back into the offense. This is the fast play that we've seen A&M do multiple rounds, and they're going to look to do it one more time. But D'Lo opens up. Tunes and CB both respond with kills. So man advantage once again back over to the defensive side. But as I say that, Loathing is going to find a kill, and unfortunately D'Lo just can't find the jump that he desperately wants.
Loathing justify. Can they find a way to work this again? They're back to level numbers 2v2. Tunes Crozier taking a more passive approach. Dead silence in play here for Tunes. He's hoping for an exit, but Justify and Loathing hold their ground. So it's just down to Crozier. 1v2. He's got one down low. The other one's up top, and he doesn't read it 100% correctly. And with that, A&M will find their second straight round. Once again, though, fighting back when they don't have numbers necessarily in their favor from the attack. They have done a very good job, not just to level the playing field, but find a way to put the map and the round as a whole in their advantage.
And A&M, they're playing really fast in these offenses. I actually really expect them to slow things down going in towards their next offense or the one after that, because they have such a great job of actually pacing and slowing things down and just changing things up so that the team that's you're obviously up against just doesn't know what you're going to do next. But this will be another approach over towards B for Humber, and they're going to maybe play this one a little bit faster as we're going to see Tunes move right up towards the rock. However, they have lost Cush Point, who's kind of challenged up by himself and was not really with any of his teammates, but the bomb's going to go down nonetheless. They have the control, but they're going to have to try and work themselves a big win in this round number 4, despite having one member down, now 2.
Justified sees there's nobody on. He's going to toss a smoke and then immediately hop. Humber, have you read this? They're so worried about the SMG pressure that no one's checking the bomb, and it will be defused by Texas A&M Maroon. That's just such a heads-up play. You get the smoke down late in the round, but beyond that, to allow the plant or the bomb to be defused, you send all of your SMGs forward. You keep one more member back just in case, but everybody else plays forward. Humber has to be so worried about the individual gunfights, they lose track of the bomb itself, and that's now 3 rounds in a row for A&M.
Humber have to put a big stop to them on this defense, which is the only time Humber has actually found a round win has been on defense. Someone has to go back for the bomb. A little bit of miscommunication, but Decay is there. 0-3 start for him. His teammates doing a good job of picking up the slack at the moment, but he's going to be the bomb carrier, just going to try and make sure that he plays the objective. And of course, it's going to be the exact same push. We're on Gunrunner search and destroy. It's always going to be favored towards this B bomb site. However, no one's going to drop down immediately. And just like I said earlier on, I said I expect A&M to play a little bit slower in their next offensive round because they change up pacing, they change up tempo. This is how they catch their opponents off guard. And I imagine there'll be a chance where they just look to pounce and get this bomb down immediately when the time is right.
Hugo, who cooled off for a moment there at the end of Hackney Yard, has picked right back up as he's 6-2 through 4 rounds. Okay, making his way over to the site, will get the bomb planted, but Humber's just playing for a retake here. They fully committed to it, and that's one gunfight that Toons would love to have back because he found a couple of the opening shots, but Landon will survive. Cush Point takes a challenge on Decay, who's sitting at the mid-heady. That'll also be an L for Humber. Crozier will make things a little bit more level, but he's working the middle of the map. No one's made any progress whatsoever over towards the bomb, and A&M and their power positions around green and the bathrooms will hold and find themselves now 4 rounds in a row up 4-1.
Landon finds the final kill cam once again. Humber, they're in a little bit of a tight spot. They have yet to find success on offense, and I think this is a round that you could look at changing things up, but this could also be a round that could be easily read saying, listen, they have not found any success towards B so far. We should try to now maybe play one player back a little bit deeper in towards A just to make sure that they're not going to be able to do that. It looks like that will be the call. Player number 5, that will be Loathing, who's been rocking the AR for us. We'll move all the way back just to make sure no push does come through, but the bomb has been brought right back over, and I'm really curious to see exactly if Humber is going to try and do something different because it almost just looks like they're praying and hoping for kills to come through. Cush Point does the exact same thing he did that last offensive round where he challenged out, he got blooded. At least there's a trade there from Toons to take down D-Lo, but the positioning, the setup, it is there. The trades are good, at least so far for Humber, and now we're left in a 3v3 with 55 seconds to work with.
It's Stevie's responsibility to hold this outer crate. Him and Loathing get into a scuffle. Toons will close things out, though, and find the kill. Getting shot from behind. He turns, finds the second. Big moment for Toons. It's Landon now technically with a 1v3. He was only able to find the first, and with that, Humber finally break the streak up of Texas A&M Maroon as we go 4-2.
Landon gets taken down in the final kill cam this time around. And that was the big change-up round that Humber needed, where they got a little bit more aggressive. Toons found himself a big double like you highlighted, and that was definitely what solidified that round there for Humber to stop the bleeding for themselves. But Texas A&M Maroon, they have looked very strong on the offense as they've taken, I believe, the last 3. We'll see exactly if they'll play this one a little bit faster. Last time it was slow and they waited for a pick, but smokes are down and stuns are out. That's a big challenge from Decay, and this is going to be Humber starting to adapt themselves as they're going to go for the peaks outside and they're going to win them. But Justify is going to loot or actually find 1 kill, and now that's going to be another one down. Cush Point falls. This is going to be out to Crozier in a 1v5. It doesn't have a chance. It's caught in the bathrooms, and challenge by challenge, 1v1 by 1v1, everything going the way of Texas A&M Maroon. Humber just have not been able to put a stop to these offenses so far.
And, you know, the other side of it for Humber, like you mentioned, they had previously and earlier today found 2 separate 6-2s on this map. They're about to feel the pain of that, but a lot of the success they found earlier today was by their SMGs hitting the middle of the map, whether that was on the attack or on the defense. Didn't make a difference. They were trying to get aggressive to the middle. That has changed drastically. A&M has not necessarily won the middle over Humber. It's just the fact that Humber's not committing to hitting the same way they were previously, paying a lot of respect to the SMG line of Texas A&M. But this time through, Figure and Stevie get the ARs to wake up for a couple of kills as they find the first 2. And with that, Crozier finds some free entry over to the B bomb site, wants to debate exactly where he needs to plant this bomb. And with that, it will be a 5-on-3 with the objective in favor of Humber.
Crozier gets top crates positioning. D-Lo might be the first entry fragger, as we'll see him throw the smoke out. That's going to give him the confidence to move through. He checks his corners, but he's going to have a lot to clear out. He finds a snap on the Crozier and says, good night, it's time for bed. Cush Point is there for 1 kill onto Landon. But this is going to be still a very difficult round. Now it's all up to D-Lo, the man who just found the big highlight play. Almost gets turned on, but his teammates were there either way. Even if he finds that kill, still a very tough spot. Humber, though, going to keep themselves alive. And they have found success on offense, but we know Gun Runner Search and Destroy, the offense rounds are typically a lot easier than the defensive round shift. And heading over to another defense for the side of Humber, you're gonna have to maybe try and throw a little bit of a risk maybe in towards this round, try and change things up in some way, because sticking to this standard setup where you're getting picked off in these one-on-ones just simply have not been working.
Not at all. A little bit of an update as far as our Bravo matchup. Concord able to take the Gunrunner Hardpoint 250-146 over Penn State White. That'll be Penn State White with a top 6 finish, as they have now been eliminated from the College COD playoffs. And Concord has made it to the losers semifinals with at least a top 4 guaranteed. This round here, though, Texas A&M Maroon making their first good attempt here to A. To K, getting the bomb planted in this post-plant setup with D'Lo as far forward as he is on AC. Could really do a lot of work. He's found one coming off the top shelf, nearly finds the second, but Loathing will be there for the trade. Tunes trying to work behind the train yard a touch here, but he's been figured out by Loathing, and you're looking now at Figure. He's got to be the player to clutch things up, as he's in a 1v2, and his position should be known here. He got a little bit of help as Landon did take down Loathing, the kill he was trying to make, but over the top, nearly gets a chance at the second challenge, but Texas A&M Maroon find a way to win 6-3.
Six to 3. 1-1 will be the series count. I'm so impressed. I am so impressed with the search and destroy gameplay so far from Texas A&M Maroon. This squad, just the ability to make these shot calls. You have to imagine it comes off the back end of Landon or D'Lo, some of these very experienced players within this game mode as a whole, able to make a lot of these shot calls where they change up the tempo, they change up the pacing, they throw Humber for a bit of a loop on what exactly they're trying to do. And well, that last site where they end up attacking the A-bomb site, it didn't even seem like Humber even knew that they were on the A-bomb site until the bomb had went down itself. So that was just clean gameplay. And even on a map that we already highlighted about Humber having some success on today, finding both in 6-2 fashion, but that was just one that they were unable to kind of adapt to fast enough, could not win those defensive rounds. That was the difference maker. We saw Texas A&M winning those defensive rounds, coming out on top in a lot of different flash highlight plays on the offenses that were constantly throwing in those curveballs. That was a big, clean game to make sure that you respond after the hard point loss.
And you kind of wonder a little bit, does Humber change their strategy up a touch because of who they were playing? We mentioned it in the middle of the map there that Humber had been finding a lot of success to get out of their search and destroy slump by just getting their SMGs forward. Whether, again, that's on attack or on defense, doesn't make a difference. Get them forward. Get them involved early. That wasn't the case at all here versus Texas A&M. They were more trusting Stevie to find an opening first blood or try to get the ARs more in line. And yeah, it paid off for a couple of rounds, but I think, like you mentioned, really early on, Texas A&M Maroon were really setting the tempo and the pace throughout that search and destroy. And I would say the adjustments that were made were just not quite enough for Humber. Maybe, again, just paying too much respect to the SMG line that Texas A&M Maroon currently have in their possession. But we continue forward as they'll be dealing with Hack the Yard for our demolition, for our domination.
Demolition.
I know. I probably put that one into existence. I was playing it the other day on the public playlist, stuck in my mind. But for Humber, this has been, again, a mode that they have been strong with. And they're 4-0 in total on the map through the regular season, but I still give a little bit more favor to Texas A&M Maroon, who are 9-0, and in this playoffs found a way to convincingly blow out both Purdue and St. Clair on this map mode combo.
Yeah, they're able to find, some big, pretty convincingly wins on a mapping game mode like this, where I feel like there's some teams that really have this mapping game mode down, and there's other teams that have practiced it, they've won, they've lost, but overall, it's kind of a map that almost still feels like a flip coin in a lot of ways, because as much as Hack and Yard domination is pretty hard to track within spawns and things like this, when a lot of the chaos starts to erupt on the map, and it's very, very hard to track and keep up with it. At the same time, there's teams that are able to play this map and game mode at the highest level. And well, that really shows purely through the scoreboard. Texas A&M, they've been one of those teams. We'll see if they can try and do that against Humber, but it will be Humber Esports. They will be on the good side for the A flag, and they're going to grab that, and then we'll almost be able to grab B just about right away, as they're going to shut down a few members. Landon throws a nade, but takes his teammate with him, but we'll be able to respond with a couple. And well, this B flag is going to be secured, but it's not going to be locked down and secured just yet.
The fact that they even get the capture, though, was great, because now Stevie can just play his life on this backside of the scaffold to make sure nobody taps. Same thing with Tunes, while the rest of Humber try to make sure that the OE is safe and they win the middle of the map. And if one of those things is not true, then they'll try to make a play to work on the opposite. See that coming into fruition here. So now down to Tunes. The only player left alive in this warehouse is going to be challenged from a multitude of angles. Texas A&M will find a way to break back in and very quickly not just neutralize, but also flip the B flag into their favor.
A lot of red pours in. We saw in that last series that was on the Alpha stream for as far as seeing how this map can sometimes be a little bit difficult to play on the A side if you're unable to play through middle map control, like you yourself, Alan, had broke down there for us. We'll see if that's going to be a factor. But this will be justified. He pushes out. Actually could look to push right through. There's the spawn flip. Oh my lord. They have done it very early on. We're only just a minute 30 in towards the side that Humber had. They have a chance to still go forward. As Kush Point, it will fire out some shots, but gets a little bit shaky. Still cleans out the kill and tries to play his life for a quick moment, but the nade is perfect. Decay will land it right underneath his feet. We'll deal with Kush Point, and now it will be decided. Texas A&M Maroon with the flip side in the A and B will have the strongholds.
Job done for Texas A&M with a 5-point cushion. That'll only grow as Humber now have to find a way to work their way into this B warehouse. That's such a difficult task considering that A&M are all over the L halls at the moment. Have members completely surrounding the middle of the map as well. So it's going to be a flood. That's going to be the attempt here for Humber. SMGs through the smoke. Can they find a way in? The answer so far has been yes. Dilo will watch one come across them, and he duos up. That was the last player left alive needed for A&M to get a 1v2, and he provides for his team as the Aggies will continue to hold on to A and B.
Dilo 10-3, only having 3 deaths this far. Well, that is why he only has 3 deaths this far. This man is just playing absolutely lightning fast with a quick snap. He's got a player to his left. He says hello, so Tunes will be able to stop the spree from continuing on further. And we'll see Humber try and regain around this warehouse control where they have had one player push all the way to A, where it almost looked like player 0 did not even know that if he can play his life, which I think is Kush Point, he is in such a great spot. But A might just go right back over. Kush Point's not going to challenge it just yet. He wants to wait for his teammates to get some kind of map control, but Landon is stopping them from doing anything. Dilo is also assisting in that process, making sure the middle of the map is completely locked down. So there is still Kush Point playing around this A flag, but his teammates have just been unable to break out of their spawn.
And the problem here for Humber is which direction do you go? Do you go through the green office? Do you come back over to warehouse? The decision that you make is a huge one because, yeah, you want to go help out Kush Point by A, but if you take the route through the green office, that means that Texas A&M Maroon only have one place to spawn, in front of A. So the real play that should have been there for Humber is let Kush Point keep his life for as long as possible. Everybody else needs to hit through the warehouse, so that way at least Kush Point knows that the spawns are coming from the green office side. That did not come to fruition. At least for Humber, they do find some moments of numbers here in the warehouse. They've neutralized B for the time being, and now as they finally win the gunfights inside, they'll look to flip things over and hopefully hold 2 flags in the last 70 seconds.
Yeah, Humber has done a good job of actually finding a couple of big kills. Dilo does open up with a massive 3-piece, but will he be able to continue this even further? He will. Oh my God, Dilo is 19-5, and he's going to be on a 6 spree. He is just solo. He just solo ran through the entire team there, taking them all down +1, and he will get the neutralization all by himself, but he's got more members to deal with, and he will not be able to extend that streak even further. Now everybody else from Humber is looking to regain and trying to get control of this B flag so you can add and tack on a couple extra points, but look at this E flag. Player 6 has already moved all the way to C, has been able to cap that. That will draw Humber players back and should leave an opening for the B flag to go over towards Texas.
Yeah, this has been real tough here for Humber. They will see this first half come to a very underwhelming conclusion as, again, they spawn on the preferred side behind A. They get flipped by A&M, not even holding a lead, and now A&M will actually close out this half with a neutral of the C flag. So will that ever be captured again for this last hit? It just gets there in time, but that isn't even a silver lining because it's 94-60, and A&M are about to spawn up on the favored side of the map.
You're going on the unfavored side. You're down 34 points, and we haven't seen anything fabulous so far from the strategy on Humber. And I mean, that's been off the back end of probably Dilo, just not giving them an opportunity, let's be honest. But you'll see if anybody can try and match the pressure that Dilo's been bringing so far on the very first side, because you're going to need it. You're playing from the opposite side here. That's not going to be favored. You're playing from a very tough spot where just about everybody on A&M is firing on all cylinders. ARs have been good. Landon's just been locking his line of sight's down, doing his job. And D'Lo is going to try and pick up right where he left off as he opens up with one first kill, first blood. Pre-fires for Tunes to challenge it out. Will not be able to fully cap B just yet as he's going to now move back in. But this actually gives a little bit of time for Humber to have a chance at putting a stop to this. They will be unable to. The stuns and the flashes are out. So this is going to put a halt to the push for now. So just immediately we're going to see A&M get themselves A and B once again. And now we'll see if Humber can do anything to try and break in.
D'Lo's just doing whatever he wants. I mean, he's taking challenges that there's no reason he should ever be winning. But he's winning them. And with that A&M, well, they had a moment where they were holding on to A and B, but finally Humber once again just flood through the warehouse, and they just barely win out the numbers game to allow the neutral and the flip to be fly. Keep your eye on figure number 5. He had a 1v1 versus Loathing, of which he loses. That was the play on the OE. So again for Humber, this is such a tough decision because you not only need to hold on to this B warehouse, but how do you get across to even make an influence happen at A? Again, you don't necessarily want to make the full rotation through the office because it's very easy to read, and beyond that, you're not putting Texas A&M in a spawn trap at all. But when you have no success through the warehouse, you've got no success at all through the middle of the map, it only feels like you have one option, and that's to try to make your way through the office. But let's be candid, so far, that hasn't paid off for them at all either.
D'Lo, he has a chance to put a hold to the push once again, but Cush Point will not allow him. But Decay has now found an opening to go for a flank, and this is going to set Humber back completely as Decay is there. There's the kill. The teammate has found 2. Tunes drops down, and he'll also fall to Decay, who's found himself on a 3 spree. 16 and 12, maybe not as impressive as D'Lo, but still holding his own with 5 caps to his name. Won't be able to add any more kills at the moment, but we're looking at a 3-minute mark. There's still a very big gap that you have to close, Shift. There's not a whole lot of time to work with, and well, you're either going to have to go for a flip very, very soon, or you're going to have to get control of a 2 flag and a neutralization and hold that out for a while if you're going to have a chance at getting yourself a win in this map number 3.
Oh boy, not looking good here for Humber though. Again, all the things you laid out for them to do kind of feel like it's a bridge too far. It's an obstacle too high. But you got to do one before you can do the other here, and that's the biggest key. As you see, Humber, I think, is kind of desperately trying to make a hit through the OE. Tunes will find an avenue, but exactly this is the problem. You try to make that OE hit through the green office. A&M, they're realizing nobody's hitting our warehouse. Let's send someone forward, play for a neutral. And they get just that, plus a triple capture. That's the risk of making the whole hit rotation through the green office. You try to make 4 or 5 members go that direction. You leave the middle of the map open. You leave the warehouse open. And A&M pushed on forward to get a neutral. Unfortunately, that hit that was supposed to go to A actually turns tail and moves over to B. So numbers will exist for Humber in the warehouse, but now we're at a minute 45. We're looking at a 60-point game. And it becomes mathematically impossible at this point for Humber to fully come back into it.
No chance at bringing it back. But there's some key things to highlight from our Texas A&M Maroon squad. D'Lo has it in him to still go big, of course, in multiple different instances. He pretty much 1v6 at one point where he was able to kind of just completely destroy anything that might have been left in the tank for Humber. And they're going to make some desperation to try and grab some flags. But, of course, there was not enough time. There was literally 69 points separating both of these teams. This was a big statement game. Coming off of that map, 1 loss, now responding with back-to-back game shift. They're on track to carry this momentum in towards the hard point in map number 4, where we will see Petrograd Hardpoint, a map that you have to have down point on those rotations. But man, you're just patting the stats at this point in time. Nothing really else that you can say here. Just, I know, a tough couple respawns that have come through from Crozier so far, and well, this one being 9 and 27, the very first one also, I think, 9 and 22. You need this player individually, I think, to step it up for Humber if they're going to be able to still remain toe-to-toe with this Texas A&M Maroon squad.
Yeah, big ask for him. But you mentioned it, and I think you're absolutely right. There's no chance we see A&M come flat out on Petro. I just don't see that being the case whatsoever. They didn't come out flat at all here on the Dom. And now as we look towards Petro, statistically, A&M smoked Purdue here, 250-115 in the playoffs. They're a total of 4-0 on the map as a whole. For Humber, though, not really to be looked at negatively, as they've also found some significant wins versus both Penn State White and Lebanon Valley. So Both teams showing some favor.
See that final kill cam. Got to see what D'Lo ended on. Big 35 bomb from D'Lo. There's a reason that he is ranked among the top amateur players within the seed shift, and that is certainly one of those reasons right there in that final kill cam. He's able to get you big multi-kills, find big openings, and you can always trust in him to make the right play like he did so many different times. And we kind of touched on this map coming in towards it, on whether or not Humber was going to be able to be as practiced on it. And, well, doesn't look like that's going to be the case for us. And at least in this Hackney Yard domination. And, well, if you're just also tuning in, 2-1 up is now going to be the scoreline for the side of Texas A&M Maroon. Humber trailing, where they were the ones that were able to strike first in that hard point. They looked pretty decent overall. They were finding big rotations. They flipped a switch when we went through the resets. Now we need them to start like that heading in towards the St. Petrograd, where, again, this is obviously a much different beast than a map like Hackney Yard, where everything is close. Rotations are very, very important, where you have to run 20, 30 seconds across the map just to get towards the hill sometimes. So we will watch for that, and we'll see if Humber has enough in the tank to kind of push forward, as this has been a very long day of scrimming, playing on stream, getting ready for matches, and you have to wonder if that mental physique is starting to, play a factor in some of these players as we get later in towards the day.
100% of the cases, this will be the final matchup here for these two squads, but I believe we are still holding on to the GSU Carleton match to do after this one has concluded. I want to take a moment just to say a massive thank you to everyone who participated behind the scenes with the Bravo stream as they concluded and wrapped up their broadcast with Penn State White, unfortunately falling out of the tournament to Concord Maroon. But, it was really fun. I think the idea kind of came a little bit later than we wanted to, but I think everyone was really happy about it. The fact that we got some of the collegiate casters that casted over their home teams throughout the regular season, a chance to cast here on College COD. So massive shout outs to Morgan Dunn, Michael Stripe, Billy Spots, and Seymour. And of course, we had our very own Spyro, and you and Viv, you and Proper had a chance to also kind of jump on board with them for a moment. Really, really cool that we got the chance for those guys to kind of showcase their talents on a little bit more of a higher viewership number for those guys. And of course, big shout outs to Switchy for running the production for that stream all the way throughout, not just last weekend, but also today. Of course, that takes me to the transition that tomorrow, as soon as we get through our final matches tonight, top 4 will be all that's left. All of it will be right here on the main channel, including a little bit of an all-star matchup before we get the action started, which will be a little bit of fun for some of the players that were out there. I'm hoping we see 0 M4s, 0 MP5s. I want to see kilos. Yeah. I want to see Rams. I want to see Uzis. I want to have fun with it. But I know that for some of those guys that are playing in that tournament, their playoff run was also cut a little bit short. So I think they're going to be playing with a little bit of fire just to kind of regain a little bit so quickly after they were knocked out.
Yeah, that's certainly the case. And, that's obviously going to make for a fantastic matchup for who we will have in the grand finals, which we still don't even know who's going to advance. But, man, this map number 4 that's coming up for us, I've seen these players over time shift play on land. I've seen losses affect them. And I am a little bit worried for Humber, because I do know what it's like even as a player, from the past myself, suffering some tough losses in maps maybe you feel like you might have won. And, well, in a situation where your now backs are up against the wall, you're being forced in towards the loser's bracket. It's not a spot anyone wants to be in, but we'll see if Humber can fight from the bad side. But that is not the start. That's not the break that you initially want to have. But the spots, however, did end up coming through for them. So, I guess if it works, it works.
Texas A&M, I think we're just as surprised as we were with how fast they got these kills, and they got a little bit too far forward past that proverbial 50-yard line, and Humber say, all right, I guess that's the best possible thing that could have happened after being 5-man wiped. So now they've got an opportunity not only to potentially hold for the P2 side, but to flood into P1 from behind the Aggies, and they will break. One player for Texas A&M, though, has made their way over to the cafe that's closing. Looks like a couple of Humber members may realize that he's worked his way through as they're searching for him. And as we get our last 8 seconds, Luke, he tries to go to the knife, but Crozier says, all right, I'll see you there, and we'll find the kill. But, again, the bigger storyline, Humber, they still hold the spawns for P2.
They get the incredible spawns that come in now. Will they be able to actually hold down P2 and work themselves right back in towards the lead holder? Loathing breaks open the door with his teammates. That's 3, that's 4 that dropped down. First initial hit, not going to be good right now for A&M, as D'Lo's going to play some dancing in the smoke with Crozier. Takes him out, has a chance to hit the hill. It's contested. He finds a snap. Somehow the hip fire connects, and somehow that kill connects.
Unbelievable.
We'll grab 3, 7, and 2. This man, D'Lo's always playing. He's always playing on this exceptional level. And he will grab one more before he gets taken down, and he contests a good amount of this time. So Humber, yes, should be able to grab the majority of this time, but not before player 4 hits this one more time. Landon's going to fight for the scrap time. He will actually win his one-on-one, so this is pretty massive. An extra 10 seconds now going to be in the pockets as he wins a second gunfight. The rotation is there at the moment for A&M, but the spawns are still close for Humber, and if they win these gunfights, they will be in a great spot to try and hold down Hazmat Building.
The problem is, again, it's Loathing who's been trusted to lock down the rotation, but he unfortunately does not have enough help across the 50-yard line again. So Humber will spawn behind the third hard point and now make their way forward. So a good attempt again for Loathing, just doesn't quite come to fruition. But you feel like D'Lo's about to do something special. Never mind, no, he's not. His Humber will cut him down before he can make anything miraculous occur. And not only that, Humber, they win their first gunfights, but this is brilliant. Humber take the wins and then immediately start pushing members forward. You do not want to get spawn trapped behind P3. And how about this? Kush Point, he's already made his way not just through the middle of the map, but he's all the way past the cafe. And I don't see a world where Justify is going to expect that a member from Humber have made it all the way out here.
All the blue spawns are in. Humber have done it now. 2 successful rotations on 2 of the hardest hills to actually flip into rotations for your favor. But the scoreline still only 69-74. So just a minor lead for Humber Esports, as they are going to have that close back spawn, but they have to regain control of the hill. And it's going to start with this hit. D'Lo's now in the hill and in the mix with his teammates. He challenges out. The contested time is back and forth, but D'Lo is unable to find anything. Figure has actually broken through with 3 big kills. Justify with a quick snap on the one, looks to smoke a second, will be able to grab it, but Crozier's there with the trades. And well, this is going to be the break in for Humber Esports. They have the setup, they have the ARs that are starting to mow down the submachine gun players that are running and gunning towards the hill, but they're not getting in, they're not finding the break. As I say that, they do actually manage to find a good amount of trades. So Stevie's now left behind the counter, behind the bar, to try and deal with Justify, who's cleaning up anybody who challenges them. The 15 seconds is going to be up for grabs, and this is a very scrappy hard point shift. This is not a whole lot of time that's gone over. We're going in towards P5, and no team is over 100 points.
And it's not just scrappy because of how kind of tight and contested this map has been, but all of the teams who have gotten the favorable setup have been essentially broken, or there's been a couple of different retakes that have come through. Now it's down to Crozier to kind of hold things down in the restaurant. Texas A&M, though, already contesting the hill. One more player trying to break in was Justify and Loathing. They'll be cut down, and maybe this will be the first solid setup into a significant hold that we'll see, as Humber have good positions on the front and back side of this restaurant hill. And with that, the first 30 seconds will tilt in favor of Humber as they try to grow this to a potential 50 or maybe even full 60 points.
Yeah, this is the first hill we've seen a team actually lock down a good amount of points in, and we might even see one last hit come through. I don't know if this is the right call. They do have to push through for spawns into next, and Landon does take down a couple, but there's too many members from Humber that flood in to make sure they grab a full 60. So that is the biggest hill that's come through so far from both of these teams, and it was the P5 hill out of all of them. But in towards the new setup we will go. The reset of the hard points, 100 to 131. We'll see A&M Maroon in control early, but the push is out. D'Lo finds one up close and personal. His teammates all follow up with some one-on-one gunfights of their own. We saw this last time. A&M were able to grab a whole lot of time off of this hill, but Humber, they have the favorite side. As long as they're able to contest this and hit this maybe at a good coordinated time, they should be able to bust in and start to contest some of this time.
Once again, Humber from the favored side from P2, just use their numbers. That's kind of been the mantra of this squad. It was that way in domination. It looked like it was that way through a couple of their successful rounds in search. And now, maybe that's the key to success here versus the A&M Maroon team here on Petro Hardpoint. 141 to right around 130. This is a back and forth affair for more reasons than we care to list at the moment. But it really, for me, comes down to what happens in these next 2 hard points. Can Humber, with their setup, actually lock down a big money hill? Or can A&M once again find a way to break it open?
K up top, looks for shots on the tunes, but can't finish off this player. And now this hit is going to be so incredibly massive. That's 4 down. There's one more player in the hill. He will not be able to deal with him, so that will be a successful break. Only 20 seconds in towards B2, but Figure, he finds a very quick snap of his own, takes down one. There's too many members now from A&M just flooding in towards the hill. This should be a 30-second potentially picked up, but not before Humber are going to flood a few more resources in. Player number 6 going to start rotating to the next, as well as player number 9. So Crozier, as well as Cush Point, getting ready to set up for the hazmat building, where they were just contesting time again on this hill. No one was able to get themselves a whole lot of time off of it. We'll see if that changes, as Cush Point's going to be on the yellow van as he blows it up. Looks for 2 players to try and combine for a multi-kill and stop the rotation. This is the scrap time gone over, and the lead change happens once again.
Humber have not fully read how A&M want to hit this through the middle of the map. A couple players want water, a couple players came through the middle side of trams, and still loathing again. The player who snuck through everything will not just win his gunfight, but now he's got some help here. Humber will spawn in, but are they going to be spawn trapped? The current instance seems to suggest that yes, they very well could be, as D'Lo just holds the corner. He'll find one. He's looking for a second. He's on 5, straight doubling up there at the end of this life. Figure will eventually deal with him, but A&M working their way through the middle of the map will essentially put Humber in a spawn trap as they're still holding on to P3.
Never seen a hard point so contested and so oftenly broken. And this is 15 points that are up, and you got a long rotation across the map if you're Humber, and you're going to have to start moving. But D'Lo says, I'm going to grab this scrap time. He finds one, he finds 2. This is so big, because now, off of this next hill, A&M can actually close things out. Player number 9, it's Cush Point. He is the player that was able to get towards the back, and he might just be able to get to that exact same spot, but he's got nobody with him. He's got some isolated one-on-ones to potentially win for himself, and he does not. He's not looking at the right place at the right time. So Humber, they're going to have to hit this from the front, and they're gonna have to find the break.
This A&M Maroon team is just firing on all cylinders here in this second rotation. Humber, you have to break this. You cannot give away the last 30 seconds. At least you don't really want to. You don't have to break it, but you really don't want to see them sitting this far forward as, again, A&M Maroon now all of a sudden, as no contest comes through at all, they can actually just win it straight up here. I thought for sure that Humber with those numbers at the front door would at least be able to contest for a time, but A&M just duel them up, no problem. Trades back and forth, numbers still favoring that of A&M. Last player into the hill is going to be Crozier, who falls 244, 245. Humber nowhere to be found, and A&M, they have put together a spectacular back half, and they're 2 points away from securing the win.
It's not over just yet, but you're going to have to do, well, you can't do that, I guess. D'Lo's going to find himself the 2 big kills, and he's going to wait patiently. He's going to go for some shots for a 3. His teammates there. The bait and switching is good. Now they'll move in. Shots from D'Lo as he'll try and see if he can solo break this, but his teammates have hit the front. They have pinched out Humber, and that will be a closeout. A&M will move to the grand finals.
Yeah, D'Lo again just doing it all, though Landon will get the play of the game. D'Lo goes 36-19. Absolutely having his way this series. And too many lives to count how many he found 4 or plus kills. That's just throughout this entire series. I don't think we have enough fingers or toes between the two of us to count how many times he went on a 4+ spree. And that, in my mind, is one of the biggest reasons why A&M finds themselves at a 3-1 total, especially with how convincing map 2, 3, and 4 were.
It was so back and forth. So many games. I think Humber had a big chance at trying to find some wins in some of those ones, looking back on them. But I think that, looking at these 2 squads through the entire season, now through the entire playoff run, it is very clear to say that this A&M Maroon squad they have what it takes. I think, there was a good amount of us that had this team making all the way towards the grand final and actually winning the CCL as a whole. Now, that's not done just yet, but just with the way they play, just everything that they do, the shot calling, having just D'Lo alone on the squad, I mean, that's got to boost you up just a couple of notches in itself. But it is looking a little bit grim for anyone that does face this team. And, we did see a game 5 from Concord Maroon where they are still fighting for their lives down in the losers bracket, where Humber will now be in that losers final. So that will also make for some very interesting things. And I mean, looking at that bracket as a whole, shift, I don't even know what's going to unravel for us.
I don't even know where to begin to start talking about it. Just again, like you mentioned, the key factor, Concord Maroon currently awaiting in the losers semifinals the winner of Georgia Southern and Carleton. That's going to be an insane matchup. That one's slated to actually be rescheduled to tomorrow. Beyond that, though, like you mentioned, losers finals, Humber will have to play up against one of those 3 schools, and I don't even care who they play. I mean, part of me wants to see them play Carleton for the Toronto rivalry, but at the same point, I wouldn't mind them seeing them play any of those teams, because simply put, our final 5 teams that we currently have in the mix are all absolutely insane. And I don't know. I wish I had words. I usually have a lot of words to say about these schools, but today was a wild day, and we saw a number of squads that we thought would do very well do just that. A couple others show a couple of flaws, and you only have less than 24 hours to maybe go back, watch a couple of those key moments, and fix the most gaping of them. You're not going to be able to plug the dam completely, but definitely stop the big places where water is spewing fastest, because this Texas A&M Maroon team, who is awaiting whoever comes out of the losers bracket in the grand finals, is looking very, very talented and very, very good.
Yeah, they're in a great position to take the entire thing as a whole. But who will be able to match up against them? That's really the question that's flowing through my mind. There is so many different teams that you've already touched on that are stacked. And I almost think that just about every single one of them literally could be in this grand final. And that's what makes things very exciting. But overall, who's going to show up tomorrow? Like, this has been such a thing that's been talked about within Call of Duty for such a long time. It's like, yeah, these players look great. They have the stats. They have the maps to back them up. It's like, all right, these guys match up against this team extremely well. But it's really about who shows up on Championship Saturday. What team is going to eat their waffles and maple syrup, if you will, their shift, for as far as making sure that they're coming out and bringing everything that they got. But you got to find that good breakfast food, whatever's going to do it for you. You got to find it, because you need everything you got heading in towards the squad for as far as who's going to match up against them.
Yeah, you've got 2 Canadian teams, so I'm assuming that at least 10 of our players are definitely fulfilling their breakfast nutrients with syrup. And hey, who knows? Texas A&M Maroon, they're in the South. Chicken and waffles on the table. Concord, you guys eat in West Virginia? Coal? That's all I know about West Virginia. You got coal out there. So throw some syrup over your coal and get ready to go for tomorrow. But that will conclude all of the action for tonight. You don't want to go too far, because not only do we have more playoff action coming tomorrow, but we've got an all-star game on the line, which will be a lot of fun to broadcast over the top of. And of course, we're crowning a champion tomorrow night. Unbelievable to say, this is my favorite time of the year. We only get to do one regular season and we get one championship, and then we have to wait for what feels like way too long before we get to do it again. So join us, won't you? Right back here, we'll be starting off the action. What time did we say we're starting tomorrow? 4:00 p.m. Eastern time is when the preview show will start, where we'll try to get all 4 of our main casters on camera to talk about how wrong we were in our predictions, with maybe the exception of Visions, who's looking really good right now in his bracket. But beyond that, we've also got an all-star game, and then our top 4 teams will be duking it out. Visions, final thoughts from you before we give our sign-off.
Final thoughts from me. Carleton is going to make the run. They're going to go all the way up against Humber, like I predicted. Humber will go for the rematch up against A&M Maroon, where they'll take the first series and then they'll lose the second 3-1. That's how it's going to go down. I'm laying it all out on the line. I think this A&M Maroon squad, seeing them, and this is also my first time casting over them and as a whole throughout this entire season, and just watching them make the right decisions time and time again gives me so much confidence in this squad to say that they are very likely going to be the CCL Season 2 champions. But that's just my opinion. I mean, there's a lot that has to unravel before then. There's a lot that's going to have to come out of the box for these actual players themselves to see if they got what it takes. But that's what I'm looking for. I'm going to hold strong with a prediction, and I'm going to hope that Carleton boys do me proud.
We'll see how things unfold. Don't go too far. We'll step away for what, 18-hour break. We'll be back at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern time for you guys in the afternoon on Saturday. Have a wonderful rest of your evening and, of course, the start to your Saturday. But don't go away because we've got more College COD coming. You not want to miss the finale, the conclusion. But until then, hope you guys all keep holding